Yeah, build a cathedral, change the map. Well, how is that not conquest? Because we're just building a church. You got a problem with that? The sanctuary is desecrated. It has to be rededicated. It has to be made holy. I mean, if your claim to sovereignty is that you look like us, you rape our wives on our honeymoon, act like we owe you something because we're sinners, appoint an African king over those Celts who treat the European diaspora like it's their playground. A bunch of tough guys acting all proud because they got some lily white excuse. I might not be pretty, but I didn't spend 30, 40 years dedicated to just justifying letting the mother continent run wild. And I never claimed to be a Christian priest. Just a Christian and technically a priest. Otherwise, there would have been no point for the Philistines to rape me and claim sovereignty. 92, they smashed Nancy Kerrigan's knee, put her out of the games. Just threw the whole thing. And we got a bona fide Nazi. How about that? When was Columbine? Basically, we had a king on our land asserting sovereignty since we didn't have it because the Irish were raping the hounds. Well, now you got the legendary father of all werewolves because he ran away. Act like we need your protection because we're not racist enough. Actually, what it is that we're allowed to be here. We're what's left of the Gaelic Celts who built the foundations for everything you know of as civilization in the Isles, because we were liberated 60 years before the Civil War, not 500 or 1,000, 60. We're not going to allow the princess representing our peace to die in vain. So you can point somebody with absolutely no valid claim. So nobody can speak to the matter while this goes on to justify moving in here and protecting us some more. You see, when I said this could all be put to better use, I was not yet aware that that was the plan all along. I don't believe there's a human authority which just rapes you until you agree with it. I know Islam. I know about Islam. I think that makes me Muslim. I know about water too. I think that makes me a river. The Normans are represented on the Confederate flag, and what good did it do us? I have a German Catholic ancestor, and when I was 2,000 miles away, they poisoned and crippled a little German Catholic girl just to connect it to the army. The critical flaw in their little plan was that I've never enjoyed, let alone sold, cocaine. All these years, I've objected to various failed policies, etc. Completely unaware, just like everybody else, that someone claiming to be the King of Scotland was just shipping immigrants by the boatload. It's the promised land. We're crazy. Only these are our population deficit. Like the Christians don't count, the Mexicans. They speak a different language, so they're automatically crazy, according to certain Christians. But if they have Latin in there, then they're covered. I don't know what the problem was with the Templars. They sent us some English Templars, and either they didn't do anything, or they wanted the peasants to do something. I don't know what the problem was. What I know is the purpose of the Templars is we don't take orders directly from the purely ecclesiastical authority. We have a mission, and that is when barbarians deny the rightful inheritors of the land their birthright. Some of us historically had kind of a bad reputation, but that just comes with the territory. You keep getting invaded by people that steal from you and then blame you. People that think that as long as they rape somebody, it's okay if they stay. The argument is either, well, it didn't kill me, so it must have been okay with it. So, how do you expect to keep what you have when certain parties grow enough poppy to buy it out from under you without a word, without saying a word to your face? Yeah. If someone lied to you, if someone told you that the Irishmen lost the fight, we're mutually affected parties. We can recover in tandem. They told you ran away from the military. Who paid for that? I promise you, it was paid in advance. You know these gambling types. Man, you can have everything handed to you, and that's probably not a good thing. It's good to suffer and struggle, but in the end, when you win, as long as you're kosher, you keep it. You don't win by... We don't have marital rape. You can cast doubt on someone's inheritance as long as you're better armed and you don't have to say it to their face. But what's the argument for a human commanding his flock to behave like this? He's a hostage. If he doesn't consent to it, encourage it, and act like it was his idea, the glory is the only way. Maintain. So, if your country is a little overtaxed, some kind of leverage, maybe they're just not ready for the 1-2 punch. Just we got these Muslims over here are a problem. It's not the white ones. This country was founded by Protestants too. We didn't know any better. We probably couldn't afford the trip without them. They're getting kicked out of the kingdom, and it's like, oh, it's not as bad as we thought. We're getting kicked out of the one that's rightfully ours. It was, our choice. We wanted more land, not just to escape the rape armies. I've had someone tied into my phones, observing me my whole life, acting on my every joke as if it was a command, my mistakes as if they were great ideas, my objections as if I was agreeing, reading in the things that I write as if I were writing another language because I happen to know about other languages, acting like just because I wrote one thing that contradicted another, there's no set rules. They're just evoking rules. The United Nations is supposed to be a secular authority, not a platform for bizarre, heretical name they come up with for Islam, basically the various weapons, because Islam's a monotheistic religion. It's not basically just a guiding, like the ground rules, surrounded by all these little satellite cults. Oh no, it's just Islam. It's just the Shia and the Sunni. Each has a different source for their claim to the global caliphate that mandates they enslave the entire human race. The Catholic Church, the Catholic religion, it's possible for the Catholic belief system to last forever. Unless some advance in technology or natural disaster of global proportion wipes humanity from the face of the earth. There's no reason Catholicism will have to just fizzle out and die, because it just doesn't make sense. Blessed is the one who was persecuted for my sake, for so persecuted were the prophets before him. That means you can read a book. See, these people over here, it's very strict. They perform ceremonial burial. They build temples and shrines. They almost look kind of like Hindus in appearance, but apparently their God commands them to deny sedated children on their home soil their birthright, and then go act like there was an agreement until they have to show up one day and answer for it by not saying a goddamn thing to his face. I don't know if it's going to be eternal. I don't know if that one's going to last much longer. I guess everybody hated Princess Di, huh? And that Harry, what a prick. Killed the kid's mother, make it the event of the season. It was grounds for war. Could have made a lot of money if we weren't being fed hand and mouth by the messenger of Allah, guardians of the royal path. I think what they spelled it wrong. I don't know if somebody heard them wrong, but it could probably be guardians of their oil path. It's obviously not guardians of the royal path, the royal path, a royal path. As long as nobody finds out about it. What do? They pay these idiot doctors, let them rape little kids, and blame the Italians. Say the Irish are pussies because they didn't do anything about it. Now we got homos acting like they own the place. There was no arrangement. There was no deal. There was no forgiveness. There was no cowardice. There was no awareness. No way, no. They weren't planning on ever coming clean. They were just going to wait until either I justified it by being gay or I couldn't speak to the matter. I know how all this works. I've never validated justification for forfeiture of my birthright. Templar history is being written as I speak. I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in if I hadn't responded to a very insistent and illogical threat on the other side of the country. Under protest, but so be it. Can't go on like this. I didn't know why. I needed answers. If there was any truth to the suggestion that it had something to do with a certain individual, there was a horrible misunderstanding. Why would anybody be watching me? Like, yeah, I see your suggestion, but that wasn't my thing. That was 15. That was in 2001. Well, okay, that mean it was his idea. It just means they thought they got away with it and signed on to it. But they got all these other people to sign on to it too. Because the idea is that whenever you object to something, they can mishandle. They can intercept your message and deliver it as their, they. So rather than say, oh, they're whatever they're doing is wrong, and they just say you accuse them of child molestation, so now you're one of us. The falsely accused. I never testified falsely. The false report charge is because I reported a theft because the guy took my money and ran away. Just because I reported it as a theft rather than a failed conspiracy to obtain and distribute a controlled dangerous substance, which nothing ever crossed my hand. I had never done it before. I'm the only one that got charged. So it wasn't a conspiracy. There was no quantification of the substance. Somebody was just trying to fund their own campaign. Somebody's kid got his ass handed to him in a preschool. An 8-year-old who got his face stomped on by a 3-year-old. Mogadishu. What gave anybody the impression that Idi Amin had a right to claim Scotland? I know nobody took it seriously. It's not that big of a deal, except for apparently, unless you're Nigerian, in which case he was the king of all the Gaelic Celts and accusations of racism. So they got to try to substantiate it by whatever kind of if you actually give in to that, you can never be racist enough. But at the same time, if you're not at all, they don't acknowledge that. It only matters if it applies to their agenda, and then it's permanent. We have this credit system where 7 years, the medical record system, they don't care. Our laws don't apply to them. The United Nations is just a platform to impose their prehistoric Stone Age predatory misconceptions. Yeah, he couldn't stop me before I ejaculated, so I own him now. Good job, boss. Congratulations. Guess that means we can stay. Now, it's very important you don't say anything to him. Nobody's allowed to talk about it, because we need to know it has to be a controlled experiment. It has to be completely up to him. So we know for sure while they just hemorrhage money. Just. Nobody's allowed to talk about it because I'm not supposed to find out. I mean, they're supposed to justify it or die. 2007, Robert Davies. Yeah, if I could hold a job long enough to support myself, let alone a family, I should have kids in 5th grade by now. But when the idea is that you're just born that way, just raping dudes and Dobermans. Therapist, the greatest rapist who ever lived. The idea is that you're the biggest psycho that has ever walked the face of the earth, because we sell medicine here for profit, and we also go bankrupt for profit, and we also put it on the police, and it's all behind the Privacy Act, so we may as well run a child sex racket out of the hospital. Washington doesn't need that bad. I'm going to put it on insurance. It's a free service we offer. So they just manipulate the media, these various high technology exploits, and punish you until it's either justified or you can't speak to the matter. If they ever figure it out, it's because they knew about it. If they didn't know about it. Study theology is very hard to. I mean, especially when the item is presented as Trump raped you. Like, yeah. Had it been prefaced with something like that was Trump's kid, oh, that would have clicked. Now it makes sense, but now they're kind of. There's no logic to their system. The object is just call us crazy and crazier and crazier and crazier, so we can subsidize our own toxic waste and justify just giving it to people whether they want it or not. And insurance fraud and pay for it in population, and we're competing with people who are exploiting the corporation to revive a Stone Age slave raiding cult that the Jews, if they hadn't escaped Babylon, that's what you're doing. You're the whore of Babylon. Now, does it make sense that you don't like them? Philistines think they have a rightful claim to ownership of the Jews is the problem. Because we have stoneworking, currency, they have goats and the wives of their fallen enemies. Their system is not based on any kind of thing that liberty, democracy, logic can support it. And the Bible is the first bestseller. It was an anthology of all the prophets that were too important to leave out. I mean, you can't put them all in there. They're all generally have something to contribute where they would have been prophets, but the ones that we cannot do without, like no matter where you're from, if you're going to ride with me, you know about this one, by no means was it ever suggested that if you read this book, you can never touch another one. Certain kingdoms were established on raping priests, because if your authority comes from God, then he obviously didn't step in to help you, did he? That must make me God. No, if your religion tells you that the Jews rightfully belong to you, that obviously means you represent Babylon. But the Greeks elected their champions. So by the time we reach Hebrew Judea, it's a different system. The Philistines were a slave-raiding barbarian tribe of sea people who invaded from the west. The world was a lot smaller. The ancient world was a lot smaller than people tend to think. Well, champion or not, why would Christ claim to be a Babylonian? Because every Jew's a king. They're all liberated slaves. Their authority comes from banishing the whore of Babylon. He's king of the Jews. The Zoroastrian Magi, the wise men who came bearing gifts, there's not a thing about it I don't know. But the most important thing I know about it is that the prophecy was fulfilled. You think you know so goddamn much. Where were you when the Nazi king of America, things got a little too hot for him, fled the country? 2016. Your religion doesn't make any sense. It does not conform to reality. It doesn't acknowledge it. The religion of God, as if God had an afterlife to need a religion for it. It's not a religion. No. The Jews were escaped slaves. They curated the traditions of many tribes, well-traveled survivors. But they could not shake the cycle of rise and fall. The people chosen of God, and then God loves the Jews. God's angry with the Jews. All throughout the Old Testament. For among my people are found wicked men, who lay in wait like fowlers, who set snares, who trap men. Christ fulfilled the prophecy. Now we no longer have assertion of authority by looking for a child shall be born, and that makes us the boss. The emperor de la soul. If you're a rightful inheritor, a human whose name appears in the Book of Life, and you're tired of being hunted by the Martians. The Templars, I've never met them. I had no idea. No idea about any of this. So, I'm not declaring war. I'm just saying, we're going to build a church. There's no such thing as Northern Ireland. There's Ireland, and then there's north of Ireland. Because the island itself is Hibernian. How dumb you gotta be. If something can be destroyed by the truth, it probably should be. You're wrong until it is. We're under no obligation to honor some crazy, primitive, alien assertion of obligation. So, the United Nations is a platform for the Reich. I guess it's supposed to happen here. Called Germany the Third Reich, but it only lasted for 5 years. Yes, there was a horrible, disgusting atrocity, and without which we wouldn't have our current course of medication shoved down our throats. Fluorine was suspected to have a hypnotic, some kind of a psychoactive effect while in exile for accidentally killing a girl and going in it. They allowed him to fudge it in his book because they needed a basis for the field study they were going to conduct in the Holocaust. They said it cures bulimia, as if the Jews had bulimia. They were real self-conscious about their girlish figure, between shoving their neighborhood into a furnace. Everything about the current state of healthcare in the United States is based on the Privacy Act allowing idiot wizards, first do no harm, you're not a doctor, can't make any promises, dumping the stuff in the water, so much of it they came up with an EPA analysis, claiming it on insurance. Can't investigate legally. Well, how come nobody, as long as you're funding a campaign with it, you would have been elected if they didn't do it. Yeah, don't worry about it, I know about it. It's fine. Insurance companies Just take it over a population group. Brainwashing little kids with rainbows to think that that's probably why they're so miserable. It's because I'm actually one of them. So what the problem is. So what do we do? We lock down our borders. I've been saying for over 7 years, like, if I can't rely on the mail, just muster the cavalry. Give a shit. Fucking retards. Act like they have some right to decide whether or not I can talk to Washington. This ain't Airheads news team. I don't know if it's gonna be a happy ending. This ain't gonna be a comedy. mfrodeo.blogspot.com. Trump coined the term fake news. Well, I happen to know how he invented it.